Yeah, stupid question. Wait.
Hey, what are you saying? And welcome to the channel ToFeelHealed. In this video we caught up with our friend Peyton Rose, who has recently transitioned, and we spoke to her about her struggles and triumphs regarding her mental health, the new friendships that are formed, and the deterioration of others due to her pursuit of her own happiness and becoming who she truly always has been. I hope that you enjoyed this video as much as we enjoyed making it, and it was incredibly eye-opening for everyone involved. So yeah, thank you for taking the time to check it out, and peace.
We are on record, and are you comfy? Are you good?
And he's okay. Gonna adjust my titties. Just trans things.
Right, okay, thank you for meeting with us today. I really appreciate it. This is the third video that we've done of this video series now, and I feel like this one is completely and utterly new territory for me and Jack, to be honest. And we're talking about how you, Peyton Rose, have transitioned, and you've been coming out to your friends recently, and we live in like such a progressive society now that people can kind of recognise things within themselves and kind of become who they truly are meant to be.
Yeah, I do too. Like it feels really good to be out and like to just be honest.
Yeah.
Like with myself and other people, it's a really cool thing. Like I feel genuinely really blessed.
So since like feeling blessed and feeling like you're truly yourself, this is like Peyton Rose is new to us, essentially. But how long have you known Peyton for? Has Peyton like been a part of you for a long time? Is it something that you've crafted and created, or is it something that's kind of always been there?
I guess like she's always been there in sort of varying degrees. Like I think I've known for most of my life, you know, like it sounds cliche, but I think I knew for most of my life that something was different, and that I liked feminine things, and you know, and all of that is, you know, is really like every trans person will say. But in terms of actually being like, oh wow, okay, I'm trans.
Yeah.
Like that penny didn't really drop until maybe like just shy of 2 years ago. Was
there something that kind of provoked that to make you think like, this how I am now is not what I'm meant to be?
Yeah.
Is there something that kind of like a trigger that was flipped essentially?
Yeah, like I got to a point where I realised that I couldn't really relate with the majority of other guys anymore. Like whether that was like playing in the band, or you know, just being on nights out, or just being around like groups of guys like at work. They would all like do stuff and say stuff, and I was like,
there was things that you didn't identify with.
Yeah, I was like, this doesn't resonate with me. You know, when I like saw like girls like in models and stuff on social media or just in real life, I was getting envy, like being like, like I want to be you instead of like I want to be with you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So as soon as that started happening, I was
that's
like,
such a sick way of looking at it.
Yeah, I was like, I should probably address this now. And that's when I really sort of started going, right, there's something more kind of at stake.
There's something more to it.
Yeah.
Like guys have been portrayed for years to be manly men and whatnot, and if you don't identify that way, then it's almost like you're outcasted because of that.
Exactly. Like I've never been like a really masculine person, but for a while, when sort of I started getting in my mind that something was going on, I tried to bury it and sort of started in a maybe slightly embarrassing way looking back on it, trying to be like overly masculine. Yeah. And like, you know, like I like grew a beard and
like you tried to compensate.
Yeah, I tried to compensate and be like growly and when I sang and stuff like that, and it just didn't feel right. You
didn't feel like you were being honest to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, I felt like I was like quite literally living a lie.
It's just so nice that you've been able to find yourself. Like it's something that like we preach mental health quite a lot. Like a positive well-being is important to everyone. Like everything from manly men to people that are transitioning or people that have transitioned to just anything. Yeah. Like to anyone. Presumably transition hasn't been easy. Can you like pinpoint like any particular points in your life during your transitioning stage that you thought like, damn, like this is something else, like this is something I've got to work on, or this is something that I'm going to have a really hard time with?
A lot of transitioning is really difficult. Like it's a constant learning curve, and that can be stuff like, you know, like learning makeup. That took me a while.
Man, that's so difficult.
It's only like really like recently that I've been able to like do a full face to I'm confident going out with it. So there's that, and then like just dealing with like gender dysphoria. If you don't know what gender dysphoria
Please
is,
go into this because I'm so into this.
So gender dysphoria is the condition that causes someone to be trans or non-binary, and it's literally your gender not matching your biological sex.
Okay.
So you're different up here than you are to down here.
Because your gender is different from your sexual identity.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're two different things.
Yeah, like biological sex and gender are completely different. So like dealing with feelings of dysphoria is probably the most difficult part. A big part of that for me is like having like facial hair and body hair. Like I have to shave off all my body hair and my facial
to make
hair.
yourself feel comfortable.
Yeah,
who you are, yeah.
Like because otherwise I just feel gross, and that's not the same for everybody. I do a job where I have to talk all day, and I'm very aware of like how my voice sounds, and I'm very aware that the people that I'm talking to on the other end of a phone won't necessarily realise that I'm a girl. So trying to overcome stuff like that is extremely difficult, but when you have good days, they're really good, and you feel like nothing can get you. But then the bad days are really bad. Like sometimes I can't leave my house bad.
If you're having to take all these extra steps to become comfortable with who you are, then I can't imagine how nerve-wracking that must be.
Yeah,
like,
it's incredibly nerve-wracking. Like maybe less so now than when I began transitioning.
Because then that's the learning curve, essentially.
Exactly.
Because you're becoming more comfortable as you're learning all these different things.
That's exactly it. Yeah. It's like conditioning yourself to be not someone else but a different version of yourself.
Okay.
So you have to teach yourself that and teach that to other people as well.
Here's one that kind of just came to my head there.
Yeah.
Have you had to learn this all yourself, or have you kind of had like an example to follow?
I got lucky in that most of my close friends are girls, and that's always the way it's been. So that kind of made things a bit easier. So what I did, hang out with them and have them like show me makeup and and things like that. It was just turning myself into a more feminine version of myself.
So you kind of had like good examples of how to kind of like embrace femininity.
Right, yeah. So there's that, and then through the power of social media, I discovered more trans people. Like one of my good friends lives out in the States.
Yes.
And they're a non-binary YouTuber. They're called Stacey Fatemi. And discovering Stacey was like a huge deal for me because I discovered them and I was like, oh my god, like they're just me.
Yeah.
Like this is a person
relatable.
that's gone through transition and is a musician and all this stuff, and like I owe so much to them. Meeting people like Stacey and discovering other trans folks was like a huge deal. Yeah.
Like I'm thinking as well, this another one totally off the top of my head. Do you think that I don't know if I'm insinuating again here.
No, go for it.
But do you think that the lack of like masculine figures around you has contributed to who you've become today?
To an extent, yeah. I think it certainly made it easier.
Because I know that like male nature is like constantly like being competitive and like being the manliest man that's there and forming this whole persona of being like you're not a man unless you're this, like all that laddie carrying 2 rolls of carpet patter. Again,
like I said, like I feel like I've been quite lucky in that most of my friends are girls, and I have all these wonderful women around me, are there and there to pick me up and help me and listen to me. Whereas, and like I get that with my boys too, but with girls it's like you've got more of like my experience anyway. So far as you've got like more of like a group vibe. Yeah. Everybody's kind of like there for each other.
You all bounce off each other sort of thing.
Exactly.
That's
and
cool.
it makes things exponentially
This is so
easier.
wholesome. I actually love this. It's so nice. So we spoke about the things there that have been difficult in transition, like things that you have experienced, but were the things that before you actually experienced them you thought were going to be a lot harder than they were? Were there like particular situations like bathrooms, for example?
Yeah.
Did you ever like approach that situation at first and just think like,
bathrooms scared the hell out of me at first.
Because it seems like such a simple concept, but like when you bring the whole, when you bring like gender identity into it, like it can make something so simple into something that is so complex. Yeah. But not in a negative way.
Exactly. Like it is a simple concept in itself, but like at first, like when I wasn't completely female presenting, going into a guy's bathroom in a club wearing makeup is like so.
It must be so jarring and terrifying. Actually,
it's horrible. But then once I actually got past that hurdle, actually it's been fine, and now I do it everywhere I go. And there's only been a couple times where there's been a slight situation, but it's been squashed really quickly. Like I was out last weekend, so me and my friend went to the bathroom, and there was another woman in a stall, and we hadn't seen her. And the woman was like, "Oh my god, is that a man? This is a women's bathroom." And I had to just pipe up and be like, "No, I'm a girl. I'm just not a cis girl."
Hey, at least that you've got the actual confidence to like to speak up about that.
Yeah, but like, you know, even 2 months ago I wouldn't have. I'd have been like,
But then again, the learning curve.
Yeah,
it's exactly. That. You've got to be confident in who you are. Like, you've made this massive change, and unfortunately these big changes come with difficulties and obstacles that you face yourself, but are also projected on you by other people.
Exactly.
And it sucks that that's the case, but this is just unfortunately the society that we live in.
I mean, like, I learned really quickly that in certain aspects, like using bathrooms and things like that, I have to be confident and a little bit ruthless, because otherwise people will walk all over me.
On the same kind of topic of like adapting and kind of becoming who you are, we spoke about your friends that have embraced you for who that you've become, but unfortunately there's always like an opposite side to it. There's another side of the coin.
Of course.
But like, after your transition, have there been like people in your life, like, we're not name dropping or naming shame or anything here, but are there people in your life that have not taken your change the way that you would have liked to? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, to be completely honest with you, it's been a total mixed bag. I'm lucky in that more of that mix has been
positive.
Yeah, it's been positive in the good sweets. Pre-transition, like while I was identifying as non-binary, there was, you know, a few people that I thought I would be friends with for life that really, really turned on me and
it's so sad to
exacted some pretty horrible abuse on me to a point where at one point I had to get the police involved. The whole thing, you know, it was horrible. Like, it was really, really bad, and those people are no longer in my life. You know, the best revenge is to be yourself, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, of course. I mean, like, when it actually came out, so I did it over social media, and the post got like 400 odd likes, with, you know, really cool. But something that I noticed was, I post something or talk about something, it's the same people that
always pipe up,
that will engage with it. So there's a fair few people that just straight up don't talk to me anymore. There's a few people that, like I said, gave me horrible abuse, and I had to take drastic avenues to remove from my life.
Did you choose to remove those people, or did they remove themselves?
I chose to remove them.
You made the choice.
Yeah.
Good on you.
I made the choice to remove them. As a trans person, it becomes, and it shouldn't, but it does, it becomes commonplace to deal with casual transphobia on a pretty much day-to-day basis. Like, quite often I'll be like on a bus or in a shop, and some like old lady will try to stare me down, or, you know,
it's so crazy that we live in like a time like that. Like, whenever I think of like transphobia, it's always like young people on social media saying things like, I can't believe that this trans woman is going into the wrong bathroom, I now identify as a 12-year-old toaster. Like, they just don't take it seriously, and they just ridicule it, and it's unfair to think that there's people out there that are ridiculing people for purely being themselves. It has no effect on them, but they're saying these horrible things purely to get likes, and it's annoying and ridiculous.
It's disgusting.
Casual transphobia is so common, and it's really
you're right.
unfair.
It is, like, it's horrible and it's unfair, but at the same time, one of the reasons I'm so open about who I am and what I do is so that I can educate these people.
Yeah, totally.
And be like, I'm gonna relentlessly educate you and be who I am until you learn. Until
you learn, yeah. We spoke about before this interview, there's people out there that just don't get it, which is understandable.
That's right.
There's people that will not understand things because they just won't understand it, they just won't get it. There's a lot of people out there that feel that gender identity and your sexual orientation, or like your gender and your sex, are the same thing. There's people that think that, even though they're two completely different things.
Exactly.
But there's people that are aware of that, but they still refuse to accept it and understand it. Well, you've already said that, like, you think it's ridiculous that people still feel this way, but like, what do you think actually drives these people to feel this way?
I think, honestly, I think a lot of the time it's fear.
Fear and insecurity.
Yeah, classically, throughout history, people are scared of what they don't understand.
Oh, 100%.
You know,
totally agree with you.
Yeah, like, whether that's like, you know, not understanding somebody being homosexual. You know, like a phobia is literally like a fear born out of hate. If you're scared of something, you're gonna end up hating it.
it's easier to hate something that you don't understand, because in order to like something you have to learn to understand it and appreciate it.
Exactly.
And if you don't even take the time to appreciate and understand it, then you're left with nothing but hate and negativity.
That's exactly it. So I think a lot of it is like fear of the unknown. To use again a slightly more extreme example, like people like me, so trans girls are quite fetishized. A lot of time there's like a lot of guys out there that, you know, their thing is trans girls.
That's what they're into. Yeah,
that's what they're into. But it's like a fetish thing. It's not like a I want to be with you romantically thing. It's like fully like
kind of like how you get guys that are like, I want to be with an Asian girl and stuff like that, because you're purely after the race, not the person.
Right. And then so with that comes a lot of guys who will find themselves being attracted to a trans girl, but be scared about it, so they'll lash out and be violent instead.
Is this kind of like in the same vein as like a lot of people find Nikita Dragon stunning, but a lot of people are feared of the fact that Nikita Dragon used to be a man? Is that the case? Is that similar sort of thing?
Like basically like with Nikita Dragon, you know, everybody goes on about how she's stunning because she is.
Oh, absolutely beautiful,
But a lot of those people are like, oh my god, she used to be a man, which of course isn't true. Just in physical form, she used to be a man.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when they get attracted to the trans people, have a hard time accepting that, you know, if they're a guy who's attracted to a trans girl, they're still straight. It doesn't make them gay. Yeah, it gets into a whole realm of fear, and I think a lot of it is jealousy. A lot of people who lash out at trans folks is jealousy.
Where does the jealousy come from?
I think the jealousy comes from like watching someone take steps to be themselves and better their lives. Yeah. And those people are going, I can't do that, and I've got all this internal hate and I don't know how to get it out, so I'm just gonna lash out.
Okay, yeah. I can see where that would come from.
Yeah. And I never used to think that, but after going through what I went through with those like few guys that tried to make my life hell for a while, I fully believe that part of it is jealousy. It's jealousy and fear.
Gotta be. With the steps that you've taken to kind of become who you are, like, I've known you for ages.
Yeah. We've known each other a really long time.
I've been in the city for like 8 years or something like that.
I think I've known you for that whole time.
I think so, yeah. I think probably from like early on shows. I've definitely known your past self, and I'm quite grateful to know your current self, because I'm actually getting myself so educated on this, and I really appreciate this.
I'm so glad.
I've always known you as being like a really creative person.
Yeah.
Like with your music and like the way that you put your art across, like it's who you are. And I think it's amazing that after your transition, you've kept that part of yourself.
Yeah.
As being like creative and that, because I was always of the impression that once you transition, like, you become a whole new person. And I know that that's incredibly naive, incredibly stupid. But
it's not stupid. It's just not true.
I always wondered, are there particular parts of your previous self or dead self or whatever the actual terminology is, and I mean that in the most respectful way possible.
Of course.
But are there parts of yourself that you've chosen to keep, and are there parts of you that you have no choice but to carry on with?
Alright, so it's important to note at this point that I'm like very much like a fledgling trans person.
Okay.
So if you put like transitioning on a scale, so say like, you know, coming out and then being at completely the other end where you've like, you know, been on like HRT for a while, which isn't essential. You know, not every trans person goes on HRT, and I'm at this end of the scale.
Okay.
So I'm like,
you still got a way to go.
Yeah, I've still got like a way to go. So like, you know, like my body's gonna change, my mind's gonna change. Like my whole thing is being a creative person, being an artist, and honestly, being into transition has driven that even more. I feel like it's given me purpose again. Yeah. Like I honestly feel like by being able to do this, I'm being given a second chance. So I guess what I'm saying is like my outlook and drive and passion is now not only different but more than what it was before. Okay, yeah. Before I was driving myself into the ground and trying to do something. You were burning yourself out. Yeah, I was burning myself out trying to do something that just wasn't realistic. And so now it's like, now I've come out, I've got so much to talk about and so much to say and so much to implement. So it's just made me want to like create and create and create. That's so nice. And get on stages, whether that's to like sing or to speak or, you know, or do stuff like this. So I think that part of me will never change. I don't think that's ever going to change.
Yeah,
I think I'll always be a creative person. Like when you look at people like Laura Jane Grace from Against Me, like she's a big figurehead for me. Laura Jane Grace came out as being transgender after having been a man in a band for so many years.
Yeah.
And so she's been a big influence.
Do you feel that your music is taken more seriously or taken differently due to your transition? You've got bands like Gloss,
Yeah.
who Gloss had Sadie fronting them, and
That's right.
Sadie's incredible. I feel with Sadie's transition,
Yeah.
it almost kind of seemed that was one of the major talking points of that band, and that's something that kind of gave that band a big push.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
do you feel that like your transition has kind of affected the way that people view your music?
I think everybody is expecting me to put out an album talking completely about transition.
Right, okay, yeah. People take your identity and
Yeah.
they think that that's what you're going to produce based on your identity.
Yeah, and of course, like I'm probably going to talk about it to an extent. But like one of the big things I've learned, and internally and externally, is like gender is so fluid.
Yeah,
So fluid. So even though yes, I'm a trans woman, I don't really feel the need to be overly feminine all the time.
Because you're just being you at the end
Yeah,
of the day.
like I that's exactly it. Like I am just me, and sure, yeah, like I like wearing makeup and wearing pretty dresses and stuff. Like you know, what girl doesn't? But I haven't actually really changed that much. Like I'm still completely the person that I was before. I'm just happier and more driven and way more comfortable in my own skin.
How has that like affected your mental health to the point that has it been like more of a positive kind of process? Yeah,
for sure. I think it's exponentially helped. Like before I came out to anybody as being trans, I got to a really dark place. I was drinking heavily, like I was being so self-destructive because I didn't want to accept what was happening to me.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I accepted it and was like, okay, right, we're gonna run with this.
Yeah.
Things got much better. It was like a literally like light at the end of the tunnel situation, and every day that light is getting closer. And I was in self-destruct mode for a good probably like 4 or 5 months, and I was becoming a horrible person that nobody wanted to talk to.
Was it kind of a case that like you were self-medicating and it kind of became destructive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, entirely. Just hit breaking point as all these things do, and boiled over. So now being able to be out and be like, hi, I'm Peyton Rose, I'm a trans woman, like that's helped me so much because people have like socially transitioning.
Yeah.
To go back to what you were saying earlier, it's been so much easier than I thought it would be. So much easier. Like the second that I went out on a night out as myself, people were like, hey girl, what's up? And I was like, really? It's really cool. So my mental health now compared to a year ago is leaps and bounds better.
See, the things that you can change about yourself, presuming that there are things that you cannot change about yourself.
Yeah.
How does that affect you? Because
it does affect me.
Because I can imagine how much it would suck just kind of having to accept like some things are just kind of the way that they have to be.
Yeah, well, yeah,
it's a horrible thing to bring up. But
it's true. Yeah, it's important to talk about. For sure. Yes, there are things about me that I'll never be able to change. Like I got big hands because I was born a boy. Honestly, man, like a lot of the things about me that I feel like I'll never be able to change are like aesthetic things, like physical things, and like that sucks. And when I have days where my dysphoria is really bad, then that comes into play entirely. It's horrible. But now we live in a world where you can do things like go on hormone replacement therapy and get laser surgery and
it's amazing
and things like that. So a lot of those things I'll be able to change gradually, but yeah, there are things that I can't change, and and that sucks, and it eats me up inside. General sense, like generally speaking, things are a lot better now that I'm doing this and running with it.
We're going to move on to the last one because like we've been talking for ages and it's been mad eye-opening for you and for Jack as well because we're so new to this. Judging about what we've spoken about today, the road to becoming who you truly are is full with moments of happiness and moments of sadness, like we spoke about how there's been people that have gone out of your way to make your life live in hell, to the moments of happiness where like you've gone on a night out as yourself and folk have been like, hey girl, and it's just been nice and it's been wholesome and it's been great, and you've had positive experiences, you've had negative experiences, but at the end of the day you are you, and you are happy with who you are.
Exactly.
And that's what we should all strive for. For anyone that was in your position pre-transition and wanting to come out or wanting to kind of identify as who they truly are, are there like words of encouragement that you would have for them?
For sure. Like, one of the biggest things that was said to me, so when I met Stacey really early on into us becoming friends, Stacey was like, by transitioning you're doing yourself and everyone around you a favour. I would say, like, just keep going, keep doing it, take it day by day, try not to overwhelm yourself, but by transitioning, if you're sure that's what's right for you and you're sure that's who you are, absolutely do it. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't, because you can, and your life will be much
who
better.
you want to be.
Yeah, it may not fix everything, but your life will be much better, and the only person that can dictate what you do is you.
Yeah, exactly. The only person that's really gonna be there for you at all times is yourself.
Exactly. Like, reach out, find support networks, talk about it, play with gender, play with expression. There's a whole world of possibility out there.
It's all well and good making everyone else happy, but at the end of the day, it's self-preservation is one of the most important things that you've got to look out for yourself.
Absolutely. Like, I'm a big advocate now. I never used to be, because I was so like wrapped up in myself, but I'm a big advocate now of, like, you are your own number one. You got to look out for you, and your happiness and your well-being is paramount. Yeah, of course, care about the people around you, but you are paramount.
Yeah.
And as soon as I learned that was such a turning point for me, and I've ran with that, and that's how I'm still sitting here in front of you right now, because I nearly didn't make it, and
I'm glad that you made it.
I'm so thank you. I'm so glad that I did.
I'm actually grateful for that. I'm grateful that you've made the time today to sit and hang out with us and talk about these sorts of things, because I can understand that this might not be easy for some people, and I can understand that nerves might get the better of some people in these situations. But I'm glad that we got here.
Me too.
I really
grateful
appreciate
to be able to do it.
It's been sick.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, this has been video 3. Yeah, this has been video 3 of the ToFeelHealed video series on YouTube, and if you've enjoyed the video, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and peace in a bit.